Hey Jessup, Sarah Harrington here, and I am honored to be one of your senior chapel speakers for this year. For those that don't know me, I am a biblical studies major with a concentration in Old Testament and archaeology, and I have a minor in music. I'm going to start us off today with a scripture from Proverbs chapter 3, 5 through 6. Trust in the Lord with all your heart, and lean not on your own understanding. In all your ways submit to him, and he will make your path straight. So those who know me know that I love school. Guys, I love school. And so when I first came to Jessup, I was very excited about understanding more things. And I had an idea of I was going to do this with my life. This is what's going to happen to me. And I was very excited to kind of get more control over that with knowledge or something naive like that. And then first semester I came and I was very concerned. I was excited about school, concerned about making friends and, getting a community and all of these sorts of things, because I didn't feel like I was very good at that sort of thing. And so I came to Jessup, and honestly have no idea how it happened still, but somehow I ended up on the Monday night chapel team freshman year and got involved with that group, and it was such a profound experience for me, one of the most profound at Jessup, because I'd never seen people my age being so intentional about serving others and showing that love of Christ and being part of a community of people my age that were worshiping every week and putting so much effort in. It really kind of flipped my values and showed me you need to be intentional about showing Christ's love for the world. And it's not all about you and you trying to figure out everything you're going to be doing. It's about really building a strong faith here and then ministering and coming out of that with something more than, oh, I have a degree now, I can move on with my life. It was more, I learned so much just about how to be someone who shows love here. And I really started in that first semester, and I just had never experienced anything like that, and I was kind of blindsided by it, but I loved it so much, and I was so excited to be serving and doing something in that community. So then second semester, I got put in my first Old Testament class. And so here I was like, academics, oh yeah, they're not gonna go away. So I got put in Cynthia Schaefer-Elliott's Old Testament class, and that was so exciting. I was so excited. I wanted to do archaeology, and I got to go on a dig last summer, which was life-changing and really kind of solidified for me that I do want to do archaeology with my life, which was really cool. And I had so many people in the Bible and theology department and music department that were mentoring me and wrote so many recommendation letters over the years, and meetings in offices and bad grades that pushed me to really apply myself and be a better writer and scholar. And all of these things really developed in me and kind of pushed me into what I wanted to do, and that was archaeology of Israel. And these were all things that I had not really thought about, I hadn't planned. Opportunities came up that I had never expected, but they were part of God's plan and not Sarah's plan. And so, and then another thing kind of came and hit me was exactly 2 years ago. I was sitting in the chapel warehouse listening to the senior chapel, and Paige Middleton, now Patterson, if you guys know her, she was speaking for senior chapel that year, and she was talking about her study abroad experience and how awesome that had been. And that was not anything that had ever crossed my mind before. I know exactly what I want to do. But I was like, wow, that's interesting. And she was saying, yeah, guys, it was great. And it wasn't that much different price-wise and all of this stuff. I was like, So I talked to Paige, and then I went to Oxford. And that was something that changed my life. Guys, if you have the opportunity to do a study abroad, do a study abroad. I did Oxford, but they have options for Uganda. You can go to Ireland. You can go to the Middle East. And again, it really solidifies, there's different tracks you can do. But for me, it really solidified how to be a scholar and a Christian in my field, and how that was going to mesh and how that should look like, which is something that I hadn't really thought about before, and something that I needed to know. And so that was something that really changed my life and really set me on this track of I want to do scholarly research and I want to do like grad school. And so I recently got accepted to UCLA for their Near Eastern Languages and Cultures program, and I'm very excited to be attending there in the fall. So this is the end of a school for me, but it is not the end of school for me. I have many more years to go, but Jessup has definitely provided me a foundation and both in academics, which I've gotten a stellar education here, but also in my faith, which I wouldn't have gotten most places. And I am so excited to be going out into the world with these two things that are important to me and trying to apply them into my field. So I am very grateful for Jessup, all the staff and faculty, and all my wonderful friends who have supported me over the last 4 years. And I had no idea what I was getting to. And I thought I did, though. I did think I did, but I did not. And God had other plans for me. And I will be eternally grateful for that. So thank you to everyone. Seniors, God has a path for you. It probably won't be what you expect it to be, but in all your ways, submit to Him, and He will make your path straight. Thank you.
What's up, guys? My name is Makai Alum. I am a senior here at Jessup. I'm a youth ministry major, and for senior chapel, I'm super excited to kind of just share part of my journey and just kind of what I've learned here in my time here at Jessup. I'm sure that some of you can relate, but when I first got here to Jessup, I had so many plans. I had plans to make friends. I had plans to do well in school. I had plans to just do everything that you would do as an incoming freshman. And what I wanted to do is I wanted to do them all as quickly as possible. I wanted to just do one thing after another. But I didn't realize that I had my whole time here at Jessup to do them. I had so much time, and one of the plans that I had, it was to be on the worship team. So this was my goal. This was my what I thought was my main purpose of being here at Jessup. So yeah, I wanted to be on the worship team. I wanted to be a worship leader. I actually came to Jessup as a music major with the hopes of graduating and going into full-time ministry and becoming a worship pastor. You see, that was my goal. And so what I did was I took the first step. I took the first step and I went to go audition to be on the worship team. So I prepared a song, practiced it, and the day of auditions, I got super sick. I lost my voice. I could barely talk, I could barely sing, I could barely play. But this was my plan. This is my plan. And so I sucked it up and I did it. And I later found out that I didn't make the worship team. When I found that out, I was devastated. I thought I had to really think why am I here? What's happening? My whole plan was ruined. But now to this day, when I look back at that whole situation, I look where I am right now, and I could just see how God moved throughout everything. I met with the pastor a couple of months ago, and he told me this, and it's stuck with me for the past 2 months, and I've just been thinking about it. And it was this. He said, God will never waste your time. He said, God will never waste your time. And so I thought about that. I looked back at my journey at Jessup. I just looked back at my life, and I realized that God has never wasted my time. That God has used every moment, every good moment, every bad moment to shape me and to form me into the person that I am today, and to the person that I will be in the future. See, this reminded me of the story of Habakkuk, this Old Testament story. Its purpose is to show that God is in control. He's in control of the world despite all of these circumstances, despite all the evil that triumphs. And what God does, he shares how we should respond in these times, how we should respond in these circumstances, and how there is hope for the future. And so this verse kind of stuck with me. It's Habakkuk 2:4. It says this. The first part says, "See, the enemy is puffed up, his desires are not upright, but the righteous person will live by his faithfulness." See, what it's saying here is that we need to live a life of faithfulness and not of pride. Through circumstances, we begin to have this prideful attitude. When we say like, "Hey, I have a plan," or "Hey, I want to do it this way," or "Hey, I see it going this way, and it has to go this way," right? But that's not what God calls us to. God calls us to a life of faithfulness and not pride. He calls us to a life of humility and to a life of surrender. You see, my sophomore year, I got to audition again. So I auditioned, and I was able to grow, and I was able to make the team. My junior year, I was able to audition again, and I was able to make the team. I was able to learn and grow, and not just musically, but as a leader, as a teammate, as a believer. I got to grow in my faith. And then my senior year, I had the opportunity of being the morning chapel worship intern, having my team and being able to lead. And it was just so cool to see how God used my time here, all the way from the beginning, to prepare me for what he had in store. I realized that God had never wasted my time. See, the cool thing is that God doesn't waste your time. He won't waste my time, and he won't waste your time. You see, you may have a plan, or you may not have a plan. You may be ready for next, or you may not be ready for what's next. But the spot that you're in right now, that God is using you, God is moving you. And in these circumstances that we're in right now, where we don't know what tomorrow's going to look like, or we don't know what the next day is going to look like, or when we had our plans and they've fallen through, that God is gonna use us in this moment right now. And so as I close, I just want to encourage you to live a life of faithfulness, live a life of humility, and to live a life of surrender.
Hi everyone, my name is Grace Woolwind, and I was a psychology student, but now I'm not. And I was so blessed and honored to be asked to speak to you guys today, so I'm just gonna jump in and hopefully you'll get something out of all four of the speakers that are today and not just me. So God has been really putting on my heart this idea of seasons. And this season has been incredibly challenging for many of us. It has been overwhelming and heartbreaking, and just a really big challenge. And that's kind of how all of life works, right? We can expect one season to occur a specific way, and then we get thrown into this new season and we're like, whoa, what is happening? I'm concerned. And I think that is one thing in life that we are promised, is to experience change, because we're not really promised pretty much anything else, right? And as Christians, like, we're gonna die, but we're gonna live again. So did we really die, And so I think that, like, just in life in general, we can't ever control the season of life that we're in, right? We just kind of get thrown into these seasons, but we can control our response. And so as we're in this tough season, I just kind of wanted to highlight a lesson that I've learned while I was at Jessup. I learned it every semester, every new season that I found myself in. I learned it, and now I know it, and I can apply it to all of my new seasons that I'm going to experience as a graduate. So the first part is, as a psych major, I would not be a psych major if I didn't encourage your mental health in the only chance I have to speak to you. So one thing that I've noticed is when people enter a new season, they often don't express their emotions or they don't express them well. It's very important for your mental health to identify your emotions and express them. And so when you enter a new season, whether it be a season of joy and life and light, or maybe a season of hardship and heartbreak and sadness, it's really important to identify the feelings that you have, even if those feelings are, I don't even know what I'm feeling, like that's a feeling. And it's really important to express that to the people around you, at the very least to God or to yourself, like just talk it out with someone. That's super important for your mental health and for your spiritual health too. And there are really good ways of expressing your emotions, and there are really bad ways of expressing your emotions. So just kind of pay attention to which one you're leaning towards, and lean towards health. But in all seriousness, like, it's okay to have emotions. It's okay to express them. It's even okay if you're going through a season of hardship to express that to someone who's going through a season of joy. You're not going to ruin their day. You're not going to ruin the season of life that they're in by expressing to them that you're having a hard one. You're not going to ruin anything. In fact, you might actually help your relationship get better by expressing, hey, roommate, I'm in a really hard season of life and I'm really struggling right now. Can you pray for me? And season of joy person is like, oh my gosh, that's so hard. I'm so sorry. Yes, I would love to pray for you. Or, that's just like the ideal situation right there, and vice versa. If you're going through a season of joy, it's okay to express that to someone who's struggling. In the seasons where I've struggled the most, it was super helpful for me to hear from other people that life is still good and life is still worth living and the world is okay and it's just for a season. Things only last for a season. That season could be years. That season could be a semester. That season could be a week. Like, it depends. So take that week or however long you need and process your emotions. If you're feeling like you need to cry, cry. If you're feeling angry, be angry. You can talk to God. You can yell at God. I don't encourage cussing, but you can even cuss at God. He can take it. He wants to help you. He wants to love you. He wants to help you grow. He wants to see you become the person he created you to be. And he loves you at every single step of the journey to get to that point. So that's my first main point, and that's like psychology would endorse that. The second point is basically a question that I've learned to ask myself when I enter a new season of life, which is, what is God trying to show you in this? And this kind of, for me, provides like context and helps me stay grounded and helps me stay focused. And it helps me take my problems from being here to being down here. And so in all of this season of quarantine, social distancing, pandemic, and death, what is God trying to show us? What is God trying to show you specifically? What is God trying to show me? And in social distancing, he's kind of been trying to show me that he has blessed me with a community that is invested, but that he wants to emphasize me spending time with him. He wants my afternoons. He wants 30 minutes of my day to just sit and talk to him. He wants to be close to me. And that's just kind of the lesson that I've learned while we've been in quarantine, is he wants to be close to me and I want to be close to him. And when we have that closeness, a relationship can start to continue to grow. So I just ask you, what is God trying to show you in all of this? And have you expressed your emotions? You might consider doing that. That's basically the most important lesson that I've learned while I was at Jessup, and I've had to learn it a couple of different times. But I want to thank you guys so much for just listening. I hope that you all know you are so loved, even by people that you might not think you're loved by. And I just pray that God would bless you and keep you safe. And I'm going to miss seeing all of your faces. And thank you so much. Hope you guys have a wonderful day. Bye, Jessup.
Hey everybody, thanks for being here. For those of you that don't know me, my name's Mackenzie. I'm a Christian leadership major and I transferred to Jessup 2 years ago. Before I came to Jessup, I was so excited. I felt like nothing was holding me back and coming to Jessup was going to be a fresh start. I was ready to step into whatever opportunities God had for me. I believed God had given me big dreams, and I felt like I could change the world. My first week at Jessup was awesome. I loved how just about everyone seemed to know everybody, and that didn't bother me. However, on September 3rd, after the first week of school, I received a phone call that changed my life forever. My parents called me, and my dad said, "Mackenzie, we have some news. Uncle Brad has taken his own life, and he's taken Auntie Mary's too." This news was incredibly difficult for me to receive. There honestly aren't words to explain how I felt in that time. But I can tell you that my eyes were opened to the reality of evil and suffering, pain, and darkness in the world. I felt fear. I felt alone. I felt almost hopeless. But I didn't give up hope. In this season, when I experienced this tragedy, I felt like there was an invitation to believe in God more than I had ever believed in him before. I wanted to grow in my relationship with him. And so I said, yes, I'm going to be all in with Jesus, whatever that looks like. After that season, by the grace of God, I got through it, and also by the grace of my professors for helping me get through those weeks of missing school. I got through it, and honestly, God brought so much life into my life after that. I got to be involved in things that I would have never dreamed of, and I got opportunities that were even greater than the dreams that God had originally given me before I came to Jessup. I'd like to tell you about someone in the book of Genesis that has encouraged me throughout my life. Joseph, king of dreams. Joseph experienced great hardship throughout his life, and honestly, if you haven't read the story of his life, I would highly recommend that you look into it after this. Joseph felt the presence of darkness and suffering. Those things were not absent in his life. He was rejected by his family. He may have even lost hope. But God had given him dreams, and those dreams were fulfilled in time. The Lord was with Joseph. That's something that is repeated multiple times throughout the book of Genesis. The Lord was with Joseph. Throughout the season of tragedy that I experienced with my family, the Lord was with us. The Lord is with you right now in this season that we're experiencing with COVID-19. A verse that really encourages me is in Genesis 50, verse 20. Joseph says, "You meant evil against me, but God meant it for good, to accomplish what is now being done." Whether you're a freshman or a senior like me about to graduate, maybe you had a dream when you started at Jessup. Or maybe throughout your time at Jessup, God has given you big dreams. However, due to this current season, maybe you feel disappointed with how things are turning out. Or maybe you've even given up on your dreams completely. I want to encourage you and tell you that God sees you. And the Lord is with you, just like he was with Joseph throughout all of the difficult circumstances he experienced. I believe if God gave you a dream, he will see it through. Do you believe that too? Even in the midst of seasons of loneliness and rejection, darkness, suffering, and uncertainty, Joseph's God-given dreams were fulfilled. And even in the midst of the things we're facing now, I believe that God will fulfill the dreams he's given you. Don't give up on them. To close out my time with you today, I wanted to read a verse in Romans 8, In all these things we are more than conquerors through him who loved us. For I am sure that neither death nor life, nor angels nor rulers, nor things present nor things to come, nor powers, nor height, nor depth, nor anything else in all of creation will be able to separate us from the love of God in Christ Jesus our Lord. Thank you for watching and have a good day.